So it's now my pleasure to introduce the chair, Fiona Simpson. Fiona needs very little introduction. She's obviously an established farmer in her own right. She's from Liverpool Plains. She's just the most incredible girl. She's been a local councillor. The achievements of Fiona have been fantastic. Something you may not know about Fiona is that she has a similarity to Princess Mary. I know, you might think, where are we going with this? She speaks Danish, which I didn't know. So please join me in welcoming Fiona Simpson.
Ja, selvfølgelig, jeg gør det godt. Just to prove that I do, in case anybody's out there doubting me. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. It's an absolute honour and a privilege to be here to address my very first National Congress as the NFF President. I especially would like to start by welcoming the farmers in the room who've travelled to be here with us today. I know in the drought from first-hand experience it's an incredibly difficult time to be away from home, but there's also a need sometimes to get out and to refresh and to be able to have some different experiences while you're going through such an event. So welcome especially to you. I know your logistical and financial sacrifices, how you've made it to be here with us in Canberra today. I really thank you for that. Those of you who've actually been under some rain, I hope that has provided some respite. Those that weren't, I hope it's made you think that the next fall is your turn. And I hope that you're all a little bit boosted for the psyche by hearing some of the rain reports ahead. We certainly promise a valuable and stimulating 2 days for you here. I'd also particularly like to acknowledge the attendance of the Secretary of the Department of Agriculture and Water Resources, Darryl Quinn-Liven, our NFF CEO, hard-working CEO who opened Congress today, Tony Ma, my NFF Vice President, David Jahinki, fellow NFF directors, special guest Anthony Pratt, Bill Herditch as well, accompanying him. I'm going to give you a nod, Bill. And the Minister Littleproud, who apologises for having to duck away, but Parliament calls. This November marks my second year as an NFF President. I look back at my first week on the job and my meeting, which I think most people have now seen, with then Senator Jackie Lambie. And I wondered, did I know what I was getting myself in for? To be honest, though, there just hasn't been a lot of time for reflection, and nor, sadly, has there actually been a lot of opportunity to get my gumboots on, although certainly there's been plenty that I've needed to get stuck into. Agriculture and the issues that matter most to our industry have rarely been out of the headlines or in the spotlight. And a bit like the seasons on either side of the nation, the headlines have at times been poles apart. There have been more than a few challenges, but there have also been clear and meaningful wins. One thing that has remained consistent is, unfortunately, the instability in federal political leadership. In fact, political leadership instability has now become the new norm. But the NFF has done what farmers do best and adapted. We've remained focused on our reason for being, and that is to be the voice of Australian farmers. It's really that simple. To have this voice heard and valued, we've forged highly productive relationships with Prime Minister Scott Morrison, previous Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull, and of course our current Agriculture and Water Minister David Littleproud and their Cabinet colleagues. We are so pleased that this year we have both Minister Littleproud and our Prime Minister Scott Morrison as part of our 2018 Congress. I was also personally grateful for the interest in time invested by our former Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull in the issues of priority to the farm sector. He was truly a friend to the farm sector, particularly his response to drought and our vision for our $100 billion sector by 2030 that he launched back in April at the Royal Easter Show. We also continue to brief members of the opposition, minor parties and crossbenchers on the important issues for our sector and ask for their support in advancing them. And again, it will be good to welcome Joel Fitzgibbon here later on in the program. He'll be here on day 2 of Congress. Throughout the year, NFF has been fearless in giving voice to agriculture's role in key national policy debates such as energy, water and trade liberalisation, some of our bread and butter issues. We've been front and centre in the national debate to bring down energy costs for farmers via the development of a national energy policy framework. I was proud to accompany Prime Minister Morrison recently to Jakarta for the signing of the Indonesia-Australia Comprehensive Partnership Agreement. This FTA will deliver enhanced access for grains, for horticulture, for dairy, live cattle, beef, sheep meat, sugar and honey. We also continued to back the TPP-11, or the CPTPP as it's now currently called, the enabling legislation for which was introduced into the Senate this week. We successfully stemmed a tide of politics and partisanship that threatened to unravel the Murray-Darling Basin Plan. And we ensured agriculture's needs were singled out in a review of federal environmental laws. I was humbled to rally with our Queensland members, AgForce, on the back of a Land Cruiser at Parliament House in Brisbane to fight for fair native vegetation laws. There are fewer more important issues than standing up for our right to farm. With the able support of our members, the NFF has also led the charge to see road freight regulations harmonised and red tape cut. The NFF has put agriculture's crippling labour shortage on the national agenda by proposing an agricultural-specific visa, which we hope we will still achieve. Whether it's an ag visa or meaningful, and I have to say, I stress meaningful changes to existing visa programs, we won't rest until agriculture's labour shortages are fixed. Our industry's growth absolutely depends on it. The NFF also represented the interests of horticultural businesses at the Fair Work Commission's review of the Horticulture Award and in the legal proceedings in relation to the piece rate provisions. The NFF's advocacy for more regional phone towers has paid off, with the government committing to a fourth round of the Mobile Black Spots program. And we really are nothing without the well-being of our farmers and families. And that's why we remain absolutely committed to meaningful improvements to quad bike safety. The NFF was pleased that one of Scott Morrison's first actions as Prime Minister was to jump on an aeroplane and take himself up to Queensland and I think Charleville to see firsthand the effects of drought. And we met with him on his return to talk about what he'd seen and what government could do. Our message is clear, and as we're preparing for our National Drought Summit on the 26th, we need an overarching national drought strategy, addressing preparedness, management and support during drought and recovery. The NFF is also committed to ensuring that the trust between the community and farmers continues to be strong. Never before have consumers been more interested in the origin of their food and fibre, where it comes from. Whether it's ag-vet chemicals, animal welfare, genetically modified technology, water, or the treatment of animals and workers, we must get better at telling our story. Through initiatives such as National Ag Day, we're ensuring all Australians are better connected to farming and better informed of the sustainable and responsible practices of Australian farmers. We look forward to launching Ag Day 2018 a little later this morning. This year, as many of you will know, the focus for the NFF has been to put in place a roadmap that will see the farm sector reach its potential. Specifically, we have a vision for farm gate output to reach $100 billion by 2030, up from $63 billion in 2016 to 17. Throughout the year, with our partner on this project, Telstra, we crisscrossed the country, seriously, bottom to top, east to west, right into the middle as well, to tap into the skills and expertise of agriculture's best and brightest on how we might achieve this target. The findings of this consultation form the basis of our 2030 roadmap, our plan for $100 billion. And Charlie, I forgot to bring a copy up with me, I'm sorry. We look forward to officially introducing the 2030 roadmap, which, by the way, is included in your satchels, a nice little blue cover on it, for those who fancy a little bit of pre-reading a little bit later today. To realise its true prosperity, agriculture needs smart leaders. This year, NFF's 2030 Leaders Program put 8 switched-on men and women through an intensive professional development program. These impressive people, who I was absolutely honoured to have dinner with last night, will be the future faces of our industry, and that fills me with confidence. It's incredibly exciting to say that these people are here with us today, and we certainly look forward to talking to them. A source of immense pride for me in 2018 was also the NFF's initiative to see more women represented in the senior leadership ranks of agriculture. More than 120 women applied to take part in our Diversity in Ag Leadership program. The NFF is joined by our members, government and leading agribusinesses in pledging to make meaningful change towards gender diversity. Tomorrow morning, immediately after the PM's address, our 8 aspiring and inspiring leaders will graduate from the program. These ladies will establish an alumni of leadership-ready women with skills and a passion for agriculture. Many of them are already here in the room today as well, and it's so exciting to see this new cohort of women coming through our ranks. By far the most important and rewarding part of the presidency role is meeting with the farmers which I serve. And during the year, I had the opportunity to travel many of our diverse ag regions across Australia, including the Ord of Northwest Australia and the north of Tasmania, among many other regions. There, I met with farmers across an impressive array of industries. In Kununurra, farmers like citrus growers Craig and Lockie Dobson, seed producer and rum distiller Caelan Fletcher, and Carlton Hill station managers Lisa Walker and Glenn Booker. In Launceston, I took in the berry growing operations of Simon and Robin Dorno and the mixed cropping and livestock business of Angus Lyne. It's the opportunity to represent and make a difference for these farmers that is absolutely the real privilege of my role. And it's a responsibility that I don't take lightly. Next year, the National Farmers Federation will celebrate 40 years. Many, many, many things have changed during the past 39, globally, nationally, and certainly at a farm level. But one thing that hasn't changed, or if anything has grown, is the relevance and effectiveness of NFF. This is evidenced in part, believed, by the crowd in front of me today and the support that we've received for this, our flagship event. I'm extremely proud that NFF was recently rated as the 3rd most ethical member association in the 2018 Government Institute Ethics Index, and clearly we can still move up that tree. But the NFF is nothing but for our members. And I'd particularly like to thank our members who continue to back the NFF and I to be the voice of Australian farmers. To the many individuals who give up time away from their businesses and families to do the work needed on our committees and at a board level, I thank you. I'd like to make special mention of our Grains member, Grain Growers Limited, who this year celebrates 60 years. In an unfortunate clash of dates, GGL are actually celebrating in Dubbo tonight with a gala dinner, but maybe they might have a royal visitor, so they might get the jump on us. GGL, I'm here in spirit. During November 2018, we farewelled 3 valued board members, Les Gordon, my Vice President, Mark Horan and Grant Maudsley. I thank Les, Mark and Grant for their contribution. I know they won't be strangers to the NFF family. I'd also like to thank the 2018 NFF board for their continued commitment. I'd particularly like to acknowledge the support of our corporate partners whose faith in and role in rural Australia is very, very much appreciated. Thank you to Telstra, to Coles, WFI, Prime Super and our brand new banking partner, Rabobank. Welcome aboard, Rabo. It's great to be working with you. These partners join a host of valuable supporters who together have made our National Congress possible. A special mention to our Gold Congress sponsors, Telstra, Rabobank, Coles, KPMG, Visy, Prime Super and the Department of Ag and Water Resources. And I hope you'll have the time to visit many of their stands out there over the next 2 days. Ladies and gentlemen, that's almost all from me. I sincerely would like to thank each and every one of you for your continuing support for the NFF, for me and for our great agricultural sector. You are in for a real treat over the next 2 days as we unpack the theme of diversify. It's a great theme that's enabled an all-encompassing program. So sit back and enjoy, and I look forward to catching up with you over a cuppa, maybe, or even a drink this evening. Thanks very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Well done, love. Wow, it's quite inspiring to hear all of the work that NFF is doing on our behalf. I just wrote a couple of notes from Fiona's presentation, and it's wonderful to hear that NFF have our backs in everything from FTAs, native veg laws, live export, road freight, ag visas, Hort Awards, mobile phone black spots, and the list just goes on. I think it's really important that we sit and reflect and understand how big of a job and a role that the NFF actually play in keeping our industries not only going, but growing. Well, there you go, that was a bit of a rhyme for you all. And it's wonderful that NFF has been around for 40 years. They've grown in strength every year, and I'm looking forward to the next 40 years having NFF continue to grow and continue to add value to our industry.